On Monday, I started off this series with taking a look at the quarterbacks and how they're going to fit on the 49ers roster in 2021. Today, let's take a look at one of the positions that has seen the most change this offseason, running back. And at running back, we're going to start off with Raheem Mostert. After spending the majority of his first 3 seasons with the 49ers as a core special teams player, Mostert burst onto the scene in 2019. Despite not registering a start, Mostert would lead the 49ers in rushing with 772 yards and 8 touchdowns on 137 attempts during the regular season. Mostert would move into the starting lineup last year, and he would show his signature explosiveness right off the bat with a 76-yard touchdown reception against Arizona in Week 1, and would follow that up the following week with an 80-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage against the Jets. Unfortunately for Mostert and the 49ers, he would go down with a knee injury during that Week 2 victory over the Jets and be limited to only 6 games and 81 carries for the rest of the season. There is no doubt that when Mostert is healthy, he is among the most explosive players in the NFL, and therein lies the rub. Mostert has played a full 16-game schedule only once in his career, that being in 2019. During that lone healthy season, Mostert touched the ball an average of only 9.4 times per game, far below what would be expected of a starting running back in the NFL. As the 49ers build for 2021, they'll need to find a way to limit Mostert to around 12 touches per game, and even that would be a heavier load than anything he has been able to handle for a full season previously. Jeff Wilson Jr. Wilson Jr. led the 49ers rushing backs in 2020 with 600 yards and 7 touchdowns on 126 carries. Wilson's bruising running style gives the 49ers a physical presence in the running game that the other running back on the roster just really wasn't equipped for. This physical style has proven to be very effective down at the goal line, which partially explains Wilson's touchdown totals. While the first thing that comes to mind with Wilson is his tough running, he has also proven to be a good option out of the backfield in the passing game. During his 3 seasons with the 49ers, Wilson has hauled in 28 passes for 268 yards and 4 touchdowns, including the game-winning score against Arizona in the second game of 2019 against them. The one weakness for Wilson is his ability to hold on to the football. Wilson has fumbled the ball 5 times on only 247 career touches. This is a big reason why Wilson has found himself down the depth chart for the majority of his time in San Francisco. The bigger issue this season, though, for Wilson is that he suffered a torn meniscus in late May, and the estimated time period for his recovery is 4 to 6 months. This means that it is unlikely that he will be able to start the season off, most likely to be placed on the physically unable to perform list, which means that Wilson's going to miss at least the first 6 weeks of the season. Despite this, the 49ers hope that Wilson will still be able to contribute to the team at some point in 2021. Beyond Wilson, you have Wayne Gallman II. The 49ers added Gallman during free agency, a move that could prove key now with the injury that was suffered by Wilson Jr. Originally drafted by the Giants in the 4th round of the 2017 draft, the former Clemson standout has spent the majority of his time sitting behind Saquon Barkley in New York. It should come as a little surprise that the 2 best seasons of Gallman's time with the Giants were the season that before Barkley arrived in 2017, and then in 2020 when Barkley's season was cut to only 2 games due to injury. Gallman set career highs last season in carries, yards, and touchdowns, with 147 total carries for 682 yards and 6 touchdowns. Gallman has shown the ability to be both a physical runner and a breakaway threat. His 2.5 yards per attempt after contact in 2020 would have led the 49ers, and his long of 60 yards would have been second to only Raheem Mostert. Next is the rookie Trey Sermon. In Trey Sermon, the 49ers are getting the best offensive player from Ohio State that was in this draft. Sermon has the ability to be a home run hitter while also being able to run through defenders. He shows terrific contact balance and a style that is very reminiscent of 49ers running back Frank Gore. Sermon averaged 6.5 yards per carry and 10.1 yards per reception throughout his 4-year career, the first 3 of which were spent with the Oklahoma Sooners. The other rookie running back is Elijah Mitchell. Coming in at 5'11", 218 pounds, with a 4.38 second 40-yard time, Mitchell brings both power and speed to the 49ers. Throughout his 4 seasons with the Raging Cajuns at the University of Louisiana, Mitchell split touches with Trey Regis, but was still able to average 6.2 yards per rush attempt and 12.2 yards per reception while scoring 46 total touchdowns. Despite having only 49 receptions during his time at Louisiana, Mitchell has shown the ability to be a very good receiver out of the backfield. With that combination of explosiveness and sure hands, Mitchell could become the dual threat that the Flyers sought when they signed Jerick McKinnon during free agency in 2018. Mitchell became the third running back added to the Flyers since April of 21st of this season that weighs 210 pounds or more, joining Wayne Gallman and Trey Sermon. This shows a shift in how the Flyers view the position. And last but not least, among the tailbacks is JaMycal Hasty. Hasty made the 2020 team as an undrafted free agent out of Baylor and received his first carry in Week 3 against the New York Giants. During back-to-back victories over the Rams and Patriots, Hasty would carry the ball 9 times in each of those games, gaining 37 and 57 yards. This productivity, coupled with Coleman going down with an injury early on, would lead to an increase in Hasty's role the following week in Seattle. In that Week 8 matchup, however, Hasty would be limited to only 29 yards on 12 carries. And then, 2 weeks later in New Orleans, Hasty would go down with a broken collarbone and be placed on season-ending injured reserve. Now to the fullbacks. We have Kyle Juszczyk first. The Flyers re-signed Juszczyk to a 5-year, $27 million contract in free agency. Juszczyk provides the Flyers offense with a player that could line up in multiple places across the formation. On any given play, you can find him lined up in the backfield as an H-back, or as an inline tight end, or even as a wideout. This versatility, many times, would allow Kyle Shanahan the ability to dictate the personnel employed by the defense, forcing them to account for additional blockers. Juszczyk may see his production increase this season depending on who lines up under center. During his time in San Francisco, so far, Juszczyk has touched the ball less than 3 times per game. Definitely a number that should increase based off of what they're paying him. And last but not least is Josh Hackett. The Fresno State product spent 2020 on the Flyers practice squad. The undrafted free agent played all 4 years that he was part of the Bulldog program and proved himself as a strong blocker in the run game, while also showing that he could be a threat to run or catch the ball when called upon, as evidenced by his 341 career collegiate touches and 18 touchdowns. As for my 2021 outlook, Raheem Mostert will be the first man up if he is healthy. Beyond that, things are a little unclear at this point. Look for Gallman and Sermon to battle it out for that spot that Wilson was expected to handle. That physical, grinding type of running back that can wear down the defense while also having the ability to catch the ball at the backfield every once in a while. That was the role that they originally had envisioned for Tevin Coleman, and that's who those two are kind of battling to replace. And then as far as the role of the third down versatile back, that receiving threat from the backfield, that will be decided between Mitchell and Hasty. The two have shown the explosiveness and ability to catch the ball to fill in that Jerick McKinnon role. Look for Mitchell to maybe have an advantage in this competition due to his ability to also run between the tackles with his bigger build. As for the fullback spot, that's going to be held down by Kyle Juszczyk. The variant causes matchup nightmares for the defense, and given Trey Lance's propensity to drop the ball down to his running backs and tight ends, Juszczyk could see the best output of his career. As for Hackett, he's likely ended up on the Flyers practice squad.